court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Dungan presiding. You may be seated.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Court is now in session with the case of the State versus Oscar Pistorius again. For this case, we will need the following jurors to take the stand. Anna Kane, Hannah Oliver. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Sorry. Sit down. Let's try this again. Okay. That was just a test. Here are the real jurors. Emmanuel Brink, Danielle Thomas, Ashton Gibson, Joseph Mitchell, Tiger Reynolds, Casey All, Maddie Holden, Brian Shackelford, Wesley McCool, Brady Ferris, Xavier Fisher, and Andrew Miller. Bailiff, will you please swear in the jurors?
Will the jury please stand and raise your right hand? Do each of you swear that you will fairly try the case before this court and that you will return a true verdict according to the evidence, the instructions of the court, so help you God? Please say I do.
I do.
You may be seated.
Is the prosecution ready? Is the defense ready? Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution may begin with opening remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and thank you for being here today. My name is Faith Fowler, attorney, and I'll be the prosecutor in this case. You are here to witness evidence of the trial of Oscar Pistorius, who is accused of murder of his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp. When you hear the defense side, you will be told a lot of things. You will be told that it was an accident, and he thought that she was an intruder. You're going to hear his sad story about how he feels so bad and that he loved her. I'm going to ask you to be open-minded, listen to the trial, and make your own opinions about Oscar Pistorius. We are here to tell you that he is guilty. Murder is murder. It is the killing of another human being, which is a major crime and everyone knows about. We will show you that Mr. Pistorius committed a crime and is guilty. He murdered his girlfriend, and that is what matters, and that is all that matters today in this trial. Thank you.
Does the defense have any opening remarks?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Anna Sanders, and I am the defense attorney for the case of Oscar Pistorius, the Blade Runner. My team and I greatly appreciate you giving your time to weigh in on this trial. We value your honest viewing of the facts and hope you will render an impartial verdict. I am honored to represent my client, and I feel strongly about his innocence. My client, Oscar Pistorius, has been convicted of the murder of Reva Steenkamp. However, this horrific accident was acting in self-defense. On the morning of February 14th, Mr. Pistorius thought he heard a noise in the bathroom. He ended up firing 4 shots into the bathroom door, assuming it was an intruder. Shortly after, he came to the realization it was his girlfriend, Mrs. Steenkamp, in the bathroom instead of the intruder. However, he has to live with the fact that he watched his girlfriend die in his arms. The prosecuting attorney will try to convince you that my client is a cold-blooded killer rather than a person in mourning for his true love he lost on Valentine's Day. Mr. Pistorius has overcome many adversities in his life and has become a hero to many. Your verdict may render and end his life forever.
The prosecution may call its first witness.
The prosecution would like to call Michelle Berger to stand.
Come on down, Michelle.
Please raise your right hand and place your left hand here. Do you promise that the testimony you shall give in this case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Hello, Mrs. Berger. How are you today?
Good.
Okay, so to begin the case, begin the questioning, I would like you to state your name for the jury and audience, please.
Michelle Berger.
Okay. What is your relation to the defendant?
I am Oscar Pistorius' neighbor.
Okay, so on the morning of February 14th, 2013, in the hours before the sun rose, what were you doing?
I was asleep with my spouse.
woke you that night? You said that something woke you. What woke you that night?
Screams.
Can you describe the screams?
The screams were blood curdling and they were indescribable. It was clear that something was wrong.
Did you hear anything else that night?
Gunshots. There were 4 of them. One, a pause, and then followed by 3 more quick ones.
Can you explain them a little bit more into detail?
Sounded like bang. There's a pause. Bang, bang, bang.
Okay. Is there anything else you have to say? Okay, I have no further questions.
Does the defense
Yes, yes, I do.
before defense?
Did you hear a man or woman's voice?
Woman's.
How many times did you hear him scream?
It was an argument, so, it was back and forth.
Did you hear a cry for help?
Yes, right after the first gunshot.
What time did your husband wake you up? Or what time, or how did you wake up?
Well, I heard screaming, and I was awoken at 3 a.m. Me and my husband.
You and your husband. So were you awake before him, or was he awake before you?
I woke up before him.
No, we have some evidence that proves that he was awake before you. Or this is what you said on trial the other day. Okay, while we're doing that, I have a couple more questions. How far do you say you would live away from them?
Approximately 580 feet.
So you know that's about half a mile away.
Estimate.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher.
Teacher? What kind of teacher?
Science.
Psychology. So you would know. So you would know
object. What does this have to do with the case?
that. Overruled. You know, if you're psychology, you deal with brains. So you would understand that if he had the gunshots would have gone to her head, and you would have realized she wouldn't have been able to scream for help after the gunshots. If you're a psychology teacher, which you are, unless you don't know that. Can't see it very well. I could pass around my computer if you like. Okay. So, your husband awoke, and you awoke from screams, correct? Okay. I'm done.
Anything final from the prosecution? Or do you rest?
We rest.
You make the seat, Michelle. Is the defense ready with its case?
Yes, Your Honor. We call Oscar Pistorius to the stand.
Please raise your right hand and place your left hand here. Do you promise that the testimony you shall give in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name.
Oscar Pistorius.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood.
When I was born in Pretoria, South Africa. I was amputated. I was amputee whenever I was 11 months old, below the knee. I had got prosthetic legs whenever I was 18. I was able to walk by that time. And whenever I was 15, my mother died due to a drug reaction, and my parents were divorced before that. And in high school, I used to train with a former rugby player at his house. We had like a little homemade gym set up there. And he trained me before the Olympics started and everything like that.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Olympics?
The Olympics, I won at the 2012 London Summer Olympics, I won a gold medal in the men's 400 meter dash.
Can you tell me a little bit about your prosthetic legs?
I have 2 kinds of prosthetic legs. Flex blade cheetahs, which I use for running, and also have a second set of walking legs I use for everyday life.
Can you tell me a little about how you feel about your prosthetic legs?
I feel vulnerable without them on, to be honest with you, because there's just that mindset I have that somebody could easily attack me if I don't have my legs on.
Can you tell me a little bit about you and Reba?
I believe that me and Reba had a great relationship, I guess we could say. I mean, we love each other very much. We've had no major problems in our relationship, and we were so happy together.
Can you tell me a little bit what happened on the night of February 13th, 2013?
Well, that night I had to sleep on Reba's side of the bed in my villa in Johannesburg. I had a shoulder injury, so I had to sleep on her side of the bed. She slept on my side of the bed. My iPad and things were on my side of the bed, and her sandals and bag were on her side of the bed.
Can you tell me a little bit what happened on the morning of February 14th, 2013?
Well, I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and Reba was already awake before I was. So it was hot that day. I was wearing shirtless, and I only had some pants on underneath. And so what I did was that after disabling my alarm I had, I went outside and brought in some fans. Whenever I brought in some fans, I heard some noises come from the bathroom. So I told Reba, I went to check on it, and I told Reba to call the police. The door shifted, and I had my handgun this time, and I thought there was an intruder, because there was a window in the bathroom, thought somebody could have probably got in, and there's been some burglaries in my neighborhood before. So what I did was that I screamed for the intruder to get out. After I heard the door shift a little bit more, I fired 4 shots into the bathroom door. After that, I went back to the bedroom to see if Reba called the police, but she wasn't where she was. So I checked under the bed, checked the entire room, and it kind of dawned on me that Reba was probably in there. So what I did was that I got a cricket bat and busted down the door. And the magazine rack that was in there was down on the ground, fell. And I grabbed her and I tried to stop the bleeding, tried to save her. There's nothing I could do.
At one point in time, did you put on your prosthetic legs?
Right after I tried to help, before I tried to help Reba.
Okay. Can I grab a picture because it's not showing up there? Approach the witness from. Are these the legs you wore? Second one.
Yes, those are legs I wore.
And what do you notice about the blood?
Seems like it could have just ran down to my leg whenever I was carrying her.
Have you shot guns before?
Yes, I have. It's been known to the public for many years now.
How about Reba? Did she have any gunshots?
Yes. Actually, I took her shooting out once, and she shot one of the 9mm pistols I had.
Did you go back to the crime scene after the accident has involved?
No, I was put into not protected custody, but just custody in general.
So you are unaware that the investigators have moved your evidence and messed with the evidence?
No, I was not aware of this.
Yep. This is the copy of the article that shows that there's been 2 investigators fired over your case, and one even left the door in his office for about a week before any.
I was aware that 2 investigators had been fired. I was aware of that.
You're aware that both of them got fired. No further questions.
Does the prosecution have anything for the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Pistorius, when you woke up, you shut the door that was open when you heard a noise in the bathroom, correct?
Yes, I shut the balcony door.
Okay, so then you grabbed your gun and you went to the bathroom.
Yeah, because I heard something in there. I thought there was somebody in there. I thought Reba was still in the bed. I thought there was probably an intruder because there's a window in the bathroom.
But in all this time, you did not notice that she was not in the bed.
No, ma'am, I did not.
No. Okay. Shouldn't that have been the first thing you noticed?
I was more afraid the intruder was going to come in and harm us, and I did tell Reba to call the police because I thought she was still in the bed.
Right. Okay. Well, and during the questioning, the direct questioning, you said that Reva was awake before you.
Yes, ma'am, she was.
How would you have known that if she was not in the bed, but you didn't notice that she was not in the bed?
I woke up. It was humid that night, and she was still laying in bed. Whenever I left her, got up. She even spoke to me a little bit before I got up. And then after she said a couple things to me, I got up. She was still in the bed whenever I got up to go get the fans. And I thought she was still in the bed whenever I came back in because I was only out there for like 2 minutes maybe.
So she was there and she said something to you before you got up and got the fans, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But when you heard the noise in the bathroom, you didn't think that that could have been her?
No, ma'am. Like I said before, I wasn't out there for too long. I thought she was still in the bed.
Right. Okay. So when you heard the noise in the bathroom and you grabbed your gun, you went to the bathroom. You didn't check on Reva. You didn't ask her if she was all right or if she heard that or anything like that.
Like I said before, I told her to call the police. I was more concerned about the intruder because, again, like I said before, there has been burglaries in my neighborhood before, and I was afraid of the intruder.
Okay. So obviously you were protecting yourself, but was it your intention to protect Reva too?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay. If you were protecting Reva, why didn't you ask her where she was or if she was all right, or even think about her?
I thought about it. I mean, I did tell the police, as I said before.
Right.
I was more concerned about the intruder. I knew Reva would be all right. I thought she was in the bedroom. I told her to call the police. I'm concerned about her safety, and I went to go check to see who the intruder was or what the intruder was doing.
But you didn't wait for her to respond to you.
No, I was too afraid of what would happen.
Right. The fact that the noise you heard could have been her when she didn't respond or come running at the sounds of the shots or scream or anything didn't occur to you.
I thought she was hiding, to be honest with you. I mean, most people, when they hear gunshots, they run away from gunshots. They don't see things.
But you didn't hear anything from her, so you didn't think that could have been her.
No, I didn't. Also, when I called for the intruder, I didn't hear any voices either. So I thought the intruder was in there.
Here, I have some evidence I would like to insert. Did you hear any screams?
I screamed.
You screamed, so therefore you didn't hear any screams because you screamed.
I screamed once before I shot him.
Did you hear any woman screams during or before or after the shot?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Are both sides ready with final argument?
I have one more. So you said you've learned to handle with guns.
Yes, I have.
So you know the harm and the protection that they have, right?
Yes, I did.
So, and how were you acting? Were you acting out of self-defense? So, like, how were you acting out of, like, fear, worry?
I think it was a mixture of self-defense and fear. I was afraid that the person was going to harm me, so I acted in self-defense. And also thought the person was going to harm Reva also.
And Mrs. Berger, the witness, should definitely understand the brain patterns of fear and what that causes because she is a psychologist.
I suppose so.
You may be seated, Oscar. Are both sides ready with final argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my colleagues and I have proven today that this man, Oscar Pistorius, is guilty of premeditated murder. He shot at this beautiful, innocent woman who had a great career in life, not once, but 4 times. He murdered Reva Steenkamp and thought he could get away with it. Mr. Pistorius did a poor job of protecting her. He didn't bother to check on her or wake her. There were no warning shots and he fired at a closed door. You wouldn't do that unless you knew what was behind it. The man who was supposed to be Reva Steenkamp's protector was instead her attacker. Pistorius knew what he was doing when he fired those shots. to a story that is never easy to deal with. You have heard the defense side of the story and then the prosecution side of the story. And we're all here agreeing to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, correct? We did just swear to this court that we would tell the truth. But how can we ever know the truth if the evidence does not match up to the story? We have all heard the prosecution witness tell her story, but it simply does not add up to the facts. How can someone scream if they have already been shot in the head and being pronounced brain dead? How can you explain that? Have you ever felt fear before? Or vulnerable. Okay. Someone is in your house and the gun is in your hands, in a situation where you don't have enough time to think before you act. My answer is, okay, you have heard about Oscar shooting guns, but what the prosecution side of the story did not tell you that Reva also knows how to shoot guns. And she was also at the gunplay shooting with Oscar. We as the defendants cannot tell you something if you do not choose to hear us. What we are asking you to do is listen to the facts and look beyond murder, because in this case, fear and vulnerability overrule everything. That's all.
Any final words from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, before you make your decision, I want you to consider how you would feel if you were related to the victim. Maybe family or friend. How would you feel if someone you cared greatly about had their life taken away from them? Although the defendant claims he thought she was an intruder, the only proof you have been given that he is not guilty is his word and pitiful cries. He wants you to feel sorry for him because all of the key evidence points towards an intentional crime. And as the defense stated, that after you're shot in the head, you could not scream out in pain. But they have no evidence that the first shot was hit in the head. Thank you.
Let me remind the jury that you do not feel sorry for the defense. You must base your decision solely on the facts that you've heard here today. And you may now enter into deliberation.
We find the defendant guilty.
The jury has found the defendant guilty. Thank you for your time today. Case dismissed and the jury may excuse.